This is Planet Zoo 2, and this is Planet Coaster 2, and this is both games side by side. And apart from some coloration differences, they look pretty identical, which makes sense because they're exactly the same franchise and they're in the same genre. And at this very point, if Frontier is watching, first plug, please give us the lighting settings or the color settings of Planet Zoo 2 available to Planet Coaster 2. Oh my god, 2, 1, whatever. You get the idea. So the first 4-ish minutes, 5-ish minutes of the video, we have a bit of a time lapse because I want to talk about this comparison I did over here and why I did this. And then we will go into all the kind of features that Planet Coaster 2 has and that you can expect in Planet Zoo 2, because these features are already confirmed either by we have already seen them or because they have been mentioned in press articles. I will also say that I used the best I could material that I found in Planet Coaster 2. However, I must admit I did take a couple of the items from Planet Coaster 1 because Frontier did bring back a couple of OG themes to the game, and they do look not as good in their quality texture-wise. Obviously, they're 10 years old. They have been upscaled, yes, but they haven't been refurbished or like redone properly. So this is why here and there might be a little bit of, just issue in the quality of the textures, but that hasn't got anything to do with the quality of the lighting and the global illumination and how the game looks. You'll see later on, I show you in-game how that works, how it looks between trees and among trees, I should say, which is a bit more of a situation that we would be meeting in Planet Zoo 2 a couple of times more often. So I essentially just built that little scene over here to compare with one of the shots that we got in the release countdown on the YouTube Live. The reason why I did this is pretty much because that seemed to be for me the easiest way to compare, because we don't have most of the animals, none, in Planet Coaster, so I needed to do something without animals in the focus and without habitats, because all these things we don't have in Planet Coaster 2. So this kind of backstage scene over here seemed to be the best kind of comparison for me personally, and I am very happy I did so, because on screen you can now see the scaling and move tools and so on in action, which I am pretty sure this is going to be exactly the same in Planet Zoo 2. So if you have never played Planet Coaster 2 before, you will be seeing now a couple of wonderful things happening on screen that you haven't seen before in Planet Zoo 1 or Planet Coaster 1, such as scaling and a lot more versatile flexi-color options. Virtually every piece in this game, or like almost every piece in this game, is now flexi-color. You can also move things on the gizmo, with the gizmo a lot more precise. It's still not 100% perfect, but it's a lot more reliable than it used to being before. And if you don't know what I was talking about, this is the axis tool in which you can advanced move pieces around. There is now a lot of pieces available, but we have already seen 9 themes confirmed for Planet Zoo 2, so I'm assuming that the game will also feature a lot of pieces at the beginning of the game, so that is going to happen as well. But yeah, don't expect me to build like a full kind of crazy build over here. This is just to showcase the differences and the similarities of the engine. I tried my best to kind of capture that little essence of the scene. It's obviously not one by one. You can see I was trying to match the color here of the rocks the best I could. I'm not entirely sure if it is a flexi-color rock in Planet Zoo or if it's an in-game color of the temperate rock. It should be, I guess. This wooden piece over here, though, I used on the lower part. This is potentially one of the closest pieces we come to, because that is a general kind of wooden beam that is also pretty close to the Arctic beam from the first Planet Zoo. And from what I've seen in a lot of these interesting pictures we have from Planet Zoo 2, this might actually be one of the pieces that is already shared between both games, so that comes the closest. And I'm using this here a couple of more times, and that looked very familiar to how that is in the Planet Zoo 2 shot. I was very happy with the end result. I don't want to stress it too much. I'm gonna show that to you now in game, but I just wanted to have that little time lapse running so you guys have an idea how things are assembled in the game. So I'm assuming some new people may have actually clicked to the video who are just hyped for Planet Zoo 2. So this is how you build in the Planet games, in case you didn't know before. You can do everything modular. It's basically a big Lego toolbox for grown-ups and animal and coastal lovers. So this is how you do that. There's a lot of cool tools. But anyways, I'm rambling. I will ramble enough in the coming feature showcase. So let's move over to that one. So here we are in that scene I built, and just to showcase, I virtually just kind of clicked together that little theme to have that comparison. One thing I must admit though is don't be fooled by the lower quality maybe of the textures over here. These are some very old sets actually from the first Planet Coaster game that have been brought back into the game. I easily could have used the newer kind of stone stuff over here, but with that I can also quickly show you. Also I could just tap in fence because that is where we will find also another one that is pretty good looking. It's that one over here. It doesn't really matter which one exactly we use, but here you can also see the scaling feature, how that works. So you can have a piece that you can scale up and down for those of you who haven't seen that game and clicked on this one because you're looking forward to Planet Zoo. This is basically how scaling works. You know, you can zoom it up and down, whatever, and here you have all the kind of different color option for the different various individual stones, just using a couple of very prominent colors so you can easily see the difference. So that is how that would go, you know, and obviously this one has a lot more depth to it, compared to these relatively flat ones. But again, these are imported ones from the first Planet Coaster game, so it's not the quality that you would have in a newer game, and this is obviously also where the comparison looks a little bit towards to, you know, Planet Zoo. But actually they are fairly similar to each other, especially when you look at these little things down here, how the lighting affects the whole scene. And just because I do have the Sky Studio on, I can show you a couple of differences that lighting does to the scene. We do have a couple of presets that I have done in the past. So we have like a blue tint that makes the whole scene look a bit more like that. I have a desaturated setting that looks a bit more like this. Could be like an early morning. I think some of the countdown visuals we had looked a bit more like that. Then we have a foggy day that actually shows you how the haze comes into play. So if we have that foggy day, for example, that comes a lot closer to how the zoo picture looked. You can still go and change the sun now to being a little bit more, and that might actually be a bit too much, but like let the sun be a little bit more reddish, and then we could also get rid of a little bit of haze that might be a tad too much, and the same goes for fog. If we just get rid of the fog a little. So here we go. That comes closer to how the zoo scene has looked, also in terms of the sky, you know. But with the Sky Studio, you can basically, by the way, this is a mod, this is not native to the game, but in general I do hope that eventually for Planet Coaster we will potentially get the proper Planet Zoo 2 lighting, because it is so good. I was trying to mimic that. I was trying to make sure I do get the same kind of color in, but it's very hard to match that because the Planet Zoo look is really damn cool. I have a couple of realism presets. So this is the hot summer day, which I like quite a lot. You can also see what it does to the greenery and to the plants, especially when we go to these realism settings. Now you can see how much greener it all of a sudden looks and how much more crisp, and you know, these are the kind of different ones we have over here. Oops, I didn't want to load in that one. The Realism 3 is another one I do like. It's a bit more, has a bit more haze to it, and you can always play around with the sun color. So for example, in here I did turn that off to have the in-game sun, but if I turn it on, I can also play with the intensity, like blow it all up or go down. So that gives you a bit of an idea where the whole scene is going, and you know, that way you can also match the Planet Zoo style a little bit with the Planet Coaster style. And the way I took the photo, so you have the full picture, is basically with a first-person view from over here, from that brand new build path. So actually this looks really cool. Maybe I'm going to use this setting actually as comparison. I could get a couple more clouds in, because that is also how the Planet Zoo thing looks. I'm just going to do this so you have the different comparisons over here. But I'm not going to do this in the video. I'm going to do this for the screenshot. So let's go into a couple of features you can expect in Planet Zoo 2, because we have seen them. I'm only going to go into the confirmed ones, either by pictures or by press articles, and that is the pathing, for example. So remember, in the good old game, this is the classic path, was obviously like that. You know, you were building path like that, and then, you know, just kind of, you know, do this straight, whatnot, and then you had to like kind of connect to various things. And this is just like how you have been building path in the past, even though it is a bit changed now. Very finicky, very annoying. There is a lot of new ways to do that. So first of all, we have a new line builder that gives you the option to either build it straight path, or you can actually, if you toggle this, you can have like a straight line, or you can press F and then you have like a, you know, roundish one, and it gives you easily like a round shape, for example, like this one. Or you can like also change the connection type by pressing your hotkeys to be 90 degrees connected like so, like a T-junction, or very nicely in line like that one over here. But if that shape doesn't really suit you and you want to have like a perfect circle cut out in the middle, there are new delete brushes, including stamps. So we can have like a big roundish stamp in the circle in the middle, and then just gonna click that in, and you got that perfect circle in the middle. Look at that, we made like a almost like an alpha kind of sign over here. And if we were to go in, you can actually check a couple of other things out that we can do. So basically double tap on the path will bring you into that new path tool. There is a new edit tool where you can basically grab, like you could do this with coasters, and then drag out the path in the middle. And look at that, you just drew the plaza in. You get some kind of cool cutout over here. If we want to give that thing like a little eye in here, or maybe like a little path in the middle, we can double tap, and there is a new stamp builder that works exactly like the delete tool, just the opposite way. You add basically a little bit of path. So this is how you do that. And if you now want to have like a thin path leading to that, you can now obviously use the draw tool, which allows you to build path like basically draw out where you want to have that. So you can do this, and then you just connect that, and look at that, you have that little connection into that. So how cool is this? You can even round edges if you wanted that. So this edge and this edge, you want to have that round, you can do so. Same goes about these ones. Sometimes it just is a bit fiddly because the triangles of the path do break. I'm not going to go into the detail what that is. If you're interested, watch all the path tutorials of Planet Coaster 2, but you can see it is super easy to do. And if you were asking how you do raised path, but because, you know, that just kind of creates the fear of not having bridges or so, like in Jurassic games. No, you can just raise them by holding up shift. You can see it just indicates where you go up, and then if you are on a plateau over here, I'm going to show you something now. We can easily connect to that. You can see here's a connect, but before we do so, you can change a couple of settings over here. So first of all, I don't want to have rails, so we're just going to click one in, and you can see this one has no rails. The next part I'm going to delete is the supports. I'm just gonna press a next one next to it. Can you just be... There you go. That one, as you can see, has no supports. And next up, I'm going to get rid of the foundation. And the last one is actually getting rid of everything. So let's just have a look at the comparison. So you can now have the full kind of blown up version with has like a support, foundation, curb, and railing. This one is without railing. That one over here is without supports. That one doesn't have the foundation, which is that kind of concrete stuff over here. Still gets that curb to it. And that one is the entirely flat version, which you can also do individual as a null one, and you can also now use a customized brush, so you can just brush over that one and now it's gone. And as you can see, if I select that piece, it still is there. You do have the option now to build your custom, like if we were to pull up a glass, for example. I'm gonna use a random piece of glass over here, just rotate this, make that bigger. You could have like a little pathway gliding over a habitat, which obviously comes in very handy if you want to do something cool to see your animals below, like over a tank, for example. You can do so, and if you use the in-game first-person camera, you can actually walk onto it, as you can see over here. I cannot walk further, as you can see. There's no way to walk anywhere else because you have to be on path. But as this is the null path, you can actually do this kind of stuff, which is really, really cool. I love it. And I think it's a very cool way of integrating the pathing. So this is basically what you can expect from the path. Hold on, next one is the restaurant. You have seen that in one of the pictures that the restaurants are confirmed and they will look exactly identical to that one. So basically it's just that building. You can put that wherever you want next to a path, and we're going to put this right in the middle of the plaza. Boom, there you go. This is the restaurant piece that you have, and in this specific case, it is honestly just that piece. As you can see, you can just easily add tables to it over here, and you can see once you click that, it brings up a menu with all the suitable items. They will get that little fork and what's that, spoon icon to it, so you know these can all be connected. I'm just going to click a couple down, so various ones. You can see that it actually works with all the variants over here that you want to have, like, I don't know, just randomly plopping them down. So you can see there are a whole amount of things we have. I'm assuming that we will get these two I think I even spotted similar ways to those, but I'm not sure. I think these looked like to be in the Asian version in a very similar style, but you get these kind of diner style ones and the kind of very classic table. I assume for Zoo they will do a bit of a different variant, but all of these are now connected to the area. Now you can press open, and as you can see over here, this is the restaurant, and if you go to connect the tables, you can see these are all outlined, and if you want to go to connect tables, you can see they all get that blue hue, and you know this is basically the restaurant, which is so cool because you can now style this whatever way you want. There is no need to have a prefab or whatnot. You can make everything to your restaurant, which is pretty damn cool. And I'm going to show you how exactly that also works for Souvenir Shops. So Souvenir Shops basically work the exact same way. You can have a counter. This is, for example, that one over here. This is our modular Souvenir Shop till, as it's called. You place that down, and in this specific occasion, you again cannot open because you need to add shelves. If you click to add shelves, you can see this is the menu. It brings up the menu, and there are various variants of shelves. We've already seen some of those in some pictures, and if you click them down, they will be automatically, they snap to any kind of path traces, but you can also have them in the middle of the path, but you can then also just plop these things down, and as you can tell, they will be automatically filled as long as they are connected to the counter. There is a limit to how many you can place down per shop, obviously, but you can also just like use whatever kind of counter you want, and you can have multiple counters in your area. The important bit is that you do connect them eventually to at least one counter. This is just how it goes. And the cool bit about all this is you can style these things exactly the way you want yourself. So what you can do, for example, these are all now connected to, this is basically now our little souvenir area here, and if you go again to these things, you can see we are adding new, or actually you can have a look at connect existing. You can see the blue hue shows you again which one you have. So if you were to just uncheck one, the items out of this thing would go away. However, you can, if you say, like, for example, I want to have the same kind of pieces on here as well, then you can click on that one and customize that, and you go to, let's say, plushies, and then you can see you also have plushies in here. This all is random based, so you can just kind of click a couple of times, and then you will always get a different kind of variant to where these things are placed. You can also have just one item if you want to. So that is the the Queen Splash item, and that one over here. You could say that is just this one over here. And so we don't have the Pegasus. We can also just copy paste, and by that, by the way, you can see it's not connected. So the moment I will add this to this thing, connect existing, that one over here, confirm, you have this filled in again, and you can now say again plushies, and then the system now understood my idea and also gave me the idea for Pegasus, and now you've got all these plushies in each individual one. The same goes for t-shirts, for example. You can also just like change the kind of t-shirts you want to have. So for example, now you have the green t-shirt, and then when you click them in, you can play around with this. So I'm assuming this is going to work exactly the same way. So be happy when that is coming, because this is a really, really cool way of doing souvenir shops, because that way you'll be able, I'm just going to show you, because there are some really cool souvenir shops that people did. I'm going to put the modern souvenir shop down so you have an idea of what I meant. So I'm just going to plop that down. Also, I do hope, we have no confirmation on that, but I do hope that also Planet Zoo will feature the integration of path with the blueprints. That would be absolutely fantastic, because as you can see, this game does it, and you now have the full connection, including the path down here, and this is now a full souvenir shop. Someone put even the billboards in, which, by the way, is our next thing to be shown. Billboards will make a return. We've seen that in one of the chief beef corners that we found on the website. The way it works, you can change your image to virtually anything you have got on your computer. So for example, I have a custom aquarium in here, because in the past we didn't have aquariums, so this is how I kind of made aquariums. You know, obviously you would need to style that in a way that it looks like an actual aquarium now. But yeah, that works. This one is going to be available for you guys as well, which is pretty cool. And yeah, this is how a proper store could look like. And as you can also tell, there is also some light and stuff in here. Let me just quickly show you how great the wonderful global illumination works at nighttime. So let's do that one. And here you can see, welcome to the new world. This is how good things now look in darkness. The light, how it's casting, how it's working. Everything looks really, really proper at nighttime. Has a really, really cool way of, you know, just getting light in certain areas, and it's all perfectly traced and how that should be. You know, global illumination, really a game changer. And also, if you were to just do that, let's say, let's go back to daytime, and now you have these things. You can see now shadows are now proper shadows, and you can see bounce light is actually working as well, because that like light from here, how it just kind of goes into these wonderful little areas inside of the cupboard. And so it's really, you can really be happy about this. Like, look how that little light glows over here, and then on the opposite side where the sun is not going, you have a proper dark shadow area, but not too dark and not too unrealistic. So all in all, global illumination will do a huge leap forward in terms of how areas look, specifically when you go in that little forest area over here. That is also going to show how cool that looks. How you may have seen that now, how the light suddenly changed when we went into the shadow. So first of all, let's go out again so you can see the difference that I meant. So now it's just like overblown a little bit. Now we've adjusted from the light. You can see it looks super dark down here, and the moment we get in, it is still dark, but now it starts to adjust slightly, and there you go. Now the outside looks really damn bright and almost like overblown, and this is exactly how it is in real life, but that will make your animals look even more stand out and even more great. So that is pretty much what you can expect from the lighting as well. And now let's draw a little conclusion. Actually, before we draw the conclusion, there's one thing, it's not confirmed, but maybe this is interesting to you as well. In Planet Coaster 2, they integrated the security members again in an update, and they integrated something completely new, and that was a security post. As you can see, this is a security member who is going to be stationary at one spot, and guests can actually walk up to that person and kind of, you know, say if there was, for example, a thief or a pickpocketing going on, they will actually give them a little note, and they have like an area of influence. If you click on that one on the pole, you can see this is the area of influence that it keeps track of. So if they do integrate that as well as a mechanic, you can see this is kind of how that works. A really cool little idea, and I would love to see that as well, because this gives the whole idea of, you know, interconnected staff members and stuff a bit of a nicer idea. But yeah, so that's that. Let's actually go into the conclusion, and for that we're just going to have a little look at this comparison scene over here. So first things first, and that might be a bit selfish, but I am super happy that the graphics seem to be pretty much identical. The thing that makes Planet Zoo stand out is definitely the tiny bit of better foliage at the end of the day, and the better lighting, and not lighting as in the technical implementation of the technology, but actually in the LUT, like the use of colors and the haze and just the settings. It's basically just a LUT setting. As I said, I wish that we will be getting the Planet Zoo LUT as a launch version for Planco as well. That would be fantastic, because I personally think the Planet Zoo lighting has always been, the coloration I should say, has always been the best. It's so good, it's so realistic, it's so nice looking. Can't wait for that. So really, really looking forward to that. Super curious to how that is going to go. And maybe, and we can just change that while we are at it, I'm going to quickly change the weather to snow, because there's one thing you may be able to catch as well, but you'll see in a bit. Also for that, you know, just so we can, I'm gonna, yeah, whatever, it's gonna be the way it is. You can see now here in lakes are going to freeze. I haven't seen that on any of the promo material of Planet Zoo yet, but I would be confused if they weren't to bring that over. So there is a reason for using heaters and stuff even more so, and also making sure that your pools and or like tanks and that can sense the aquariums are heated correctly. This is a really cool feature they brought in with a weather update. So yeah, Planet Coaster as always seems to be the pathfinder for Planet Zoo, but with all these things we have gotten so far from them, I have to admit that this is a really, really cool way of, you know, just implementing all these things, and you do have a bit of a better idea what we are looking forward to in Planet Zoo 2. Hopefully that was helpful for you to understand how the systems work, especially pathing obviously has a lot more to offer than what I showed, but I didn't want to make it like awfully long now. So yeah, in case you guys have a couple euros to spend, go to my instant gaming link and get yourself the base version of Planet Coaster 2 and play around with this game. This is going to help you tremendously to understand how Planet Zoo 2 is going to work. It'll kickstart you in order to build better, you know, how to use scaling, how to use all the new alignment. There's a whole bunch of new alignment features that Frontier brought in. Better alignment with pieces, where you can automatically snap pieces into logical positions, not into position only, but also if you have like a bicycle, they obviously always bring the bicycle in individual pieces, but now with the new intelligent snapping, the pieces almost immediately rotate back into that. Oh, I should have also shown you one more thing. And this obviously is the scenery brush. Oh my god, bad person I am. We are going to quickly do this. This is the scenery brush over here, and it comes in various settings. This also is confirmed for Planet Zoo 2 as well, obviously. So this is how easily you can brush foliage and stuff. So for example, over here, you can also increase the intensity and the size of it, like so. You can say avoid path or align surface. You know, align surface is kind of, yeah, I don't have any height surfaces over here. Maybe here that looks better. So you can see it also aligns properly to the different heights. You can edit your brush if you wanted to. You can create your own brushes. You can see I have created a lot of these brushes myself. So for example, I made myself like a low shrub one. It's that one. If you go in, there are a couple of stones in, and if you go to edit the brush, you can see there are all the individual pieces, and you can even edit each individual piece, how much spacing it should have, where it should rotate around, if it should align to the surface or not, its rotation. So for example, rotation to surface is super good for like especially for like grasses and stuff. But if you want to have trees, for example, you don't want that, because then trees all of a sudden they stand way too tilted, and you want to have them always like super straight into the sky, because otherwise that looks odd. You can obviously do this, and you know, you can easily hit done, and then you've got a whole bunch of other things. You know, I've got some stones over here. This one I made to make like lake areas look a bit nicer, like so. And then the good thing is they're all individual pieces afterwards. Like you can select all of them obviously now and sink them a little deeper in if you wanted to, but these are like individual pieces. But the cool bit is if you undo this, it just undoes it as a whole group, as you can see over here. So let's bring that to an end. I guess you get the idea. And yeah, as I said earlier, get yourself the game now. Use the instant gaming link to just have the normal version. You don't need the DLCs if you just want to test out the stuff and the settings and all the features. I would obviously always recommend to get all the DLCs and just get into Planet Coaster, because I'm a big fan of that. But I guess as you guys are all zoo persons, that might not be too much of your interest, but it is very handy to learn the systems and just have a bit of joy with this game, because I do think it deserves it by now. Just a bit of advertisement here from Planet Coaster 2, but at the same time, I'm really looking forward to Planet Zoo 2. I'm really looking forward to see how the quality looks natively from the game, because obviously we have a comparison of a screenshot from the live stream versus an in-game 2K shot over here. So that apparently I do see there is a bit of quality difference in here that you have to calculate in. But I hope that was interesting to you to see a bit of the differences that they offer, but also the similarities and how the tools will pan out. Assuming that Planet Zoo team has done a better job at a better UI, maybe they might slightly change here and there. I mean, we will see more coming weekend with the gameplay reveal. We will hopefully see more of that, but I'm very certain, because of all the confirmations we already had in various press articles, that they will have the same technology from Planet Coaster 2 brought over. This is literally how they phrased that. So I'm very curious to see how that works. And let me know in the comments down below what you are looking forward to the most. Which feature is it? Is it scaling? Is it the new pathing? Is it the new lighting? What are you looking most forward to? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you as always. And if you want to keep being informed, want to see all that kind of stuff, and want to hear about my opinion on citizens very soon, make sure to sub to the channel. It's going to be out there soon. Thank you so much for watching as always, and have a wonderful time. Until then, goodbye.